Hey guys, welcome back. This is my Ableton journal. In today's journal entry, I wanted to make a bit of a shorter video because I really wanted to spend some time talking about some really good free plugins that I tend to gravitate towards when I'm creating dub techno. And the reason for me wanting to create this video is because of a few comments I got on the latest video that I posted, where I was using quite a lot of expensive and fancy ass plugins. Anyways, that's not the point. The point of this video is that I want to show you that number one, you don't need expensive plugins to really create dense and interesting dub techno music in Ableton. I also have another video coming up where I'm creating a dub techno track using nothing but stock plugins and a couple of free ones. But for this one, I wanted to highlight these plugins that I've started using lately or that have been in my arsenal for quite some time, and just to give you an idea of what you can do with these free plugins. So I'm gonna not go into the drums as per usual, I guess. Super basic 909 stuff going on there. The first thing I want to talk about is this MaxForLive device here. It's called Jpro 1.2. Essentially, it's a copy of an old Native Instruments VST plugin, which was called Pro 53, which then again is a clone of the Sequential Circuits Prophet 5 analog vintage synthesizer. And the reason I tend to like this device here is simply that it gives me really nice results really quickly. What I especially like about it is that it has this vintage knob. So if we turn that all the way down and open the filter up quite a bit, let's hear how this is going to affect the sound. So it's basically giving us this nasty detuned kind of sound, which I think sounds really good, to be honest, and especially if we start filtering it down. And I just have a slight envelope on the filter right here. I think this sounds really good, and the main reason why I'd want to choose this over something like analog is that it's just easier for me to dial in the kind of sound that I have in my head for this very specific sawtooth stab kind of sound that you'll hear all over in typical dub techno tracks. Next one up is Tyrell. This is a relatively old free VST by Yuhi, as most of you probably know, the makers of Diva, the makers of Presswork. They have a bunch of really nice pro sounding VSTs. But this one is like their ugly baby, basically. And what I like about this, again, is that it has a lot of character. It also comes with a bunch of actually pretty nice sounding presets here. Let's take a listen. See, just especially with these reverbs I have here and the delays, it just sounds really good. And again, like, why would I want to use this over something like Analog or Operator or any of my other stock devices? It's simply because like it has a bunch of cool sounding sounds that kind of just work, especially seeing how it's like dirty and a lo-fi kind of plugin. For dub techno especially, I really like sounds that are imperfect and sounds that sound ugly, imperfect, and just has a lot of character. So this one is free, and I'm gonna link it in the description as well, together with Jpro. Next on my list is Temecula DSP MDV-I and II in this case. Now, this is a free reverb plugin that's essentially a clone of the Alesis Miniverb 1 and 2. This is number 2 in that case. You can also get the smaller ones. And these are like budget reverbs from the 90s. And they've emulated the sound of these really nicely. And why do we want to use something that sounds bad, essentially? And it kind of ties back to the previous points I'm trying to make here, that with dub techno especially, trying to get more of a vintage sound, it just makes perfect sense in my head to gravitate towards these kind of more like lo-fi reverbs and effects and synths and everything, just to get closer to that kind of sound. What I really like is these reverse reverbs here. So if you just take a listen to that one alone. I just think this sounds really cool, and the fact that it's a sort of a rhythmic reverse swell also works really nicely, so you can end up having this reverb almost like a rhythmic tonal element sitting in your mix and responding to whatever you're feeding into it. I think I did find it to be quite a bit dry almost, even though it's a reverb, so I just added one instance of Convolution Reverb Pro with this sweet plate of 2 seconds just to give it even more space. Next on my list, we're looking at ForsFM Retur. Now these, you see, I've paired it up in, like, I've taken 2 units here and paired them up, but essentially this delay unit here it's a MaxForLive device that basically sounds like an old crappy guitar pedal with tons of character. And I think that the fact that it has so much character is why I'd want to use it over something like echo or delay especially. The starting point with those delay units are pretty clean and easy go-to delays, but this one, especially now that I've paired it up in a stereo pair where one is playing a dotted 8th note and one is playing a regular 8th note, I've also filtered these two a bit differently. Just listen to how this sounds, especially with some spring reverb after the fact. Yeah, I just think it sounds really, really good. And again, I'm using these kind of effects to save me time. I want a lot of character, and it just, yeah, I just tend to gravitate towards units that has a lot of character. Next up is Valhalla Supermassive. This is another delay unit that, if you've been producing music or been on music production forums or seen tutorial videos in the past, I don't know, 10 years, you're most likely you'll see people talking about this delay unit. This is a super nice, really versatile, free VST plugin that can get you anything from super crazy big reverbs to weird delays, or just very straight up nice sounding delays, to be honest. Let's run some of this chord into it and see how it sounds. I especially like this warp function where you can change the length of each delay like incrementally. You see, and all of a sudden it turns into this weird phasing reverb thing in it. And that this all depends on the mode you can dial in. Highly recommend this. I've been using this for a long time, and I definitely think you should have it in your arsenal if you don't already. Moving down, on my next send, we have first one instance of ForsFM Sala. Now this is simply put, it's just a really big reverb that sounds really good. Let me disable the chorus. You see, and I wanted to highlight this one in particular because I feel it's the closest thing you could come to something like Soundtoys Space Blender, which I tend to use in most of my tracks, which is just a like super huge, nice sounding reverb that will turn basically any kind of tonal element you feed into it into nice sounding pads. Again, it's free, and after that one, I have one instance of the TAL-Chorus-LX. Now this is a free chorus plugin that essentially emulates the Juno 60 chorus. And why would I choose this over just a stock chorus? Mainly because it has a lot of character and it emulates vintage gear chorus, which in my head, when I'm making my kind of music, I've found that going for those kind of effect units and these kind of sounds, it just gives me the sound that I want. It's super quick to dial in, it sounds super nice, it's free. Might as well, you know? Let's take a listen. To my ears, it sounds close to the kind of Echo Space CB313 phasing I hear on a lot of their releases, and hence that's the reason why I use it. Alright, so I almost forgot to mention the last send that I have enabled in this project. Essentially, it's just one instance of Convolution Reverb Pro with a resampled audio from my main chord channel. Now, this is a technique that I've covered and talked about quite extensively in the past, so I'm just going to link that video if you're interested in figuring out how to recreate this effect. So essentially, it sounds like this in solo with the chord. Let's just play the actual. And here again, I'm using the TAL-Chorus to create that chorusy effect. Because without it, it sounds kind of dull, to be honest. What I've also come to find is really nice is that you can reverse the impulse response inside here. And just some overdrive to bring out the high end a bit. What's also really nice is if you start feeding the different effects into each other, especially if we say, let's feed this convolution reverb here into our descend, which is our big reverb with the chorus on. Alright, that's it for this week. Thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions about anything, just let me know in the comments. And if not, I'll just see you in the next video.